Breaking today, a source telling Fox News that mediators are pushing to restart peace talks between the U.S. and Iran after the latest round of fighting there. Tehran attacked its Middle East neighbors after the U.S. reportedly struck 90 Iranian military sites. Meantime, President Trump says he is the Islamic regime's top target.
You know, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 0.1%. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran.
Israel has reportedly warned the White House that Iran is once again hatching a plot to assassinate President Trump. Take a look at this chilling banner that was spotted at the former Supreme Leader's funeral threatening President Trump's life. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Julie. The ceasefire is over, but talks are on. Qatar negotiators are on the ground in Iran with support of the U.S. The immediate goal is de-escalation. Now, the president just posted to Truth Social that Iran asked to continue the talks. The U.S. agreed, but states that in no uncertain terms, the ceasefire is over. This follows information relayed yesterday by our Aisha Hasni that talks were still happening behind the scenes. The U.S. official said the president considers Tuesday's strikes on commercial vessels an act of terrorism. Iran's actions constitute failed performance at an unacceptable level, but the U.S. is committed to finding a resolution. Now, General Keith Kellogg says what the U.S. needs to do now is scrap that 14-point memorandum of understanding and start over.
You take that 14-point MOU and you throw it away. And you start to make the Iranians understand that we are not equals in this fight at all. There's three demands we have. One is we're going to send the IAEA to get the enriched uranium and the centrifuges. Number two, we're going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. And if you attack it, we'll attack back. And the third, you're going to lay off your neighbors. You're going to stop shooting at Kuwait. You're going to stop shooting at the Emirates.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Israel relayed to the U.S. intelligence about a very specific plot to kill President Trump. And it really comes as no surprise. Banners at the late Ayatollah's funeral read both in English and Farsi, "We will kill Trump." Iranian plots to assassinate Trump date back to 2020 when Qasem Soleimani was killed at Trump's direction. Now, following the three tankers that were hit crossing the Strait of Hormuz, the threat level remains severe in the strait as designated by the United Kingdom Maritime Operation. They were hit traveling the Omani route supported by the U.S. Navy. U.S. Naval Forces Central Command says that southern route remains open and has been expanded. The other routes, according to the U.S., are not protected. Yesterday, 22 ships crossed the strait. Only one of them traveled the Omani route. Most of them went through, I should say, the largest number of them went through the route designated by Iran. Julie, back to you.
Mike Tobin, thank you so much. Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump, joins me now Vice President of National Security at the Heritage Foundation. Victoria, great to see you. All right, let's talk first of all of how in the world does President Trump continue to negotiate with a country that is currently plotting to assassinate him?
Well, Julie, great to see you. This is, I think, President Trump being very, very realistic about what he has to deal with here. But make no mistake about it. I mean, this is really, a appalling display of behavior, very personal on the part of the Iranians. And so, obviously, we all hope and pray for the president's safety on a daily basis. Obviously, he has the best protection around him. But the fact that he's even willing to talk to them at this point shows how committed he is to a diplomatic resolution. But at the same time, he made crystal clear the ceasefire is over. He's going to strike them where and when he wants until they agree to the deal he wants.
Well, he knows that he's obviously getting under their skin. I mean, you don't, plot assassination attempts, I suppose, after the leader of the free world because you're not trying to bow down to the power that the U.S. obviously holds. But this is obviously all over the Strait of Hormuz at this point. Iran is basically saying we hold the power and reopening it. How does the president get Iran to budge? And who do you believe is calling the shots in Iran in the first place and has the authority to make an agreement?
Well, that's the complicating factor. It's not clear anybody is.
Exactly.
And they're increasingly desperate because of the pressure that he's put on them. And one other thing, Julia, that I'm tracking that's really interesting is reporting last night that Bahrain and Kuwait participated in the strikes on Iran because they were hit by Iran earlier in the week. We already know Israel deployed the Iron Dome to UAE with IDF soldiers to protect UAE. What we're seeing is a regional defensive architecture come into place that can start taking some of the heavy lift off of the backs of the American military and the American taxpayer. This is really what the president envisioned in June of 2017 when he first went to the region as president. And he said in Riyadh, you guys are going to have to shoulder your burden. We will be here with leadership, intelligence, and assistance. But he wants the region to take the lead. I think we're seeing that happen. And that's really going to isolate the Iranians.
And like I just said, the free flow of traffic in the Strait of Hormuz is a central focus of the conflict. 22 vessels crossed yesterday, including 2 crude oil tankers. And CENTCOM says, quote, since early May, U.S. forces have helped facilitate the successful transit of more than 800 commercial vehicles and 380 million barrels of crude oil through the vital international trade corridor. So when you look at those numbers and the number of ships that have successfully crossed, you think there is promise there. Iran doesn't necessarily want to close the strait. They're using it as a bargaining tool. So now how does the president turn the table on them?
Well, I think we'd look at 2 other numbers, and one would be the price of crude, which closed yesterday around $71 and change, which is a very tolerable number for us. I think the Saudis might say it's a little bit low for their tastes, but that's a perfectly palatable price for oil, keeps our domestic production going, keeps prices down at the pump. But at the same time, speaking of our domestic production, we hit an all-time record of 13.6 million barrels a day in April of this year. 2025 was our biggest year in history. 2026 is going to shatter that record. We are pumping a ton of oil onto the market, and that all flows freely from our ports that aren't subject to Iranian interference. So I think Iran has an asset here of diminishing return over which they have fairly limited control. And so that's why I think you have them lashing out personally at President Trump. They have fewer and fewer tools in the box.
It's because it's working. I mean, the pressure he's putting on the country is working, and they are buckling, and they will ultimately fail at any of their threats. Victoria Coates, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, Julie.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.